So let's start. It's day 7 and we are at chapter 4. Okay. So, chapter 4 is the first law, make it obvious. So, the man who didn't look right. Psychologist Gary Klein once told me a story about a woman who attended a gathering. She had spent years working as a paramedic and upon arriving at the event took one look at her father-in-law and got concerned. "I don't like the way you look," she said. Her father-in-law was feeling perfectly fine, jokingly replied, "Well, I don't like your looks either." "No," she insisted. "You need to go to the hospital now." A few hours later, the man was undergoing life-saving surgery. After examination had revealed that he had a blockage to a artery and was at immediate risk of heart attack. Without his daughter-in-law's intuition, he could have died. What did the paramedics see? How did she predict his impending heart attack? When major arteries are obstructed, the body focuses on sending blood to critical organs and away from peripheral location near the surface of the skin. The result is a change in the pattern of distribution of blood in the face. After many years of working with people with heart failure, the woman had unknowingly developed the ability to recognize this pattern on sight. She could explain what it was that she noticed in father-in-law's uh, she couldn't explain what it was that she noticed in her father-in-law's face, but she knew something was wrong. Similar stories exist in other fields. For example, military analysts can identify which blip on the radar screen is an enemy missile and which one is a plane from their own fleet, and even though they are traveling at the same speed, flying at the same altitude, and look identical on radar in nearly every respect. During the Gulf War, uh, Commander Michael Riley saved an entire battleship when he ordered a missile shot down. Despite the fact that it looked exactly like the battleship's own planes on radar, he made the right call. But even his superior officer couldn't explain how he did it. Museum curators have been known to discern the difference between the authentic piece of art and expertly produced counterfeit, even though they can't tell you precisely which details tipped them off. Experienced radiologists can look at the brain scan and predict the area where a stroke will develop before any obvious signs are visible to untrained eye. I have even heard of hairdressers noticing whether a client is pregnant based on the feel of her hair. The human brain is a prediction machine. It is continuously taking in your surroundings and analyzing the information it comes across. Whenever you experience something repeatedly, like a paramedic seeing the face of heart attack patient or military analyst seeing a missile on the radar screen, your brain begins noticing what is important, sorting through the details and highlighting the relevant cues and cataloging that information for future use. With enough practice, practice, you can pick up the cues and predict certain outcomes without continuously thinking about it. Automatically, your brain encodes the lesson learned through experience. We can't always explain what it is we are learning. What learning is happening all along the way. Your ability to notice the relevant cues in the given situation is the foundation for every habit you have. We underestimate how our brains and bodies can do without thinking. You do not tell your habit hair to grow, your heart to pump, your lungs to breathe, or your stomach to digest, and yet your body handles all this and more on autopilot. You are more than your conscious self. Conscious self. Consider hunger. How do you know when you are hungry? You don't necessarily have to see a cookie on the counter to realize that it is time to eat. Appetite and hunger are governed non-consciously. Your body has a variety of feedback loops that gradually alert you when it is time to eat again, and that track what is going on around you and within you. Cravings can arise thanks to hormones and chemicals circulating through your body. Suddenly, you are hungry, even though you are not quite sure what tips you off. This is one of the most surprising insights about our habits. You don't need to be aware of the cues for the habit to begin. You can notice an opportunity and take action without dedicating conscious attention to it. This is what makes it useful. It's also what makes them dangerous. Habits form. Your actions come under the direction of your automatic and non-conscious mind. You fall into old patterns before you realize what's happening, unless someone points it out. You may not notice that you covered your mouth with your hand when you laugh, that you apologize before asking a question, or that you have a habit of finishing other people's sentences. And the more you repeat these patterns, the less likely the question you become to question what you are doing and why you are doing it. I once heard a retail clerk who was instructed to cut up empty gift cards after customer had used up the balance on the card. One day, the clerk crashed out a few customers in a row who purchased with gift cards. When the next person walked up, the clerk swiped the customer's actual credit card, picked up scissors, and cut it in half entirely on autopilot before looking up at the stern customer and realizing what had just happened. Another woman I came across in my research was a former school teacher who had switched to corporate job. Even though she was now working with adults, her old habits would kick in, and she kept asking coworkers if they had washed their hands after going to bathroom. I had found that story of a man who had spent years working as a lifeguard and would occasionally will walk whenever he saw a child running. Over time, the cues that spark our habits become so common that they are essentially invisible. The treats on kitchen counter, the remote control next to the couch, the phone in our pocket. Our responses to these cues are deeply encoded that it may feel like the urge to act comes from nowhere. For this reason, we must begin the process of behavior change with awareness. Before we can effectively build new habits, we need to handle on the current ones. Uh, this is this can be more challenging than it sounds because Once a habit is firmly rooted in your life, it is mostly non conscious and automatic. If a habit remains mindless, you can expect to improve it. You can't expect to improve it. As a psychologist, as psychologist Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So that's it for today. We will see the habit scorecard tomorrow.